Hello and welcome to this month's edition of the Digital Hangout with the New World Symphony. My name is Christopher Hernacki. I'm the bass trombone fellow here at the New World Symphony. And today I have two of my colleagues in the percussion section. Would each of you introduce yourselves?
I'm Matt Howard, first year percussion fellow.
And I'm Stephen Kehner, also a first year percussion fellow.
So today we have a special guest with us, Jacob Nissly. He's the principal percussionist of the San Francisco Symphony. Can you introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Jacob Nissly. I am the principal percussionist in the San Francisco Symphony and was also a New World Fellow from 2008 through 2010.
Terrific.
Awesome.
Before we get started and have our participants introduce themselves, I just want to do a little bit of housekeeping. So this is NWS Connect, an online community for middle and high school classical musicians. You can check us out on Facebook, NWS Connect, and on Twitter and Instagram at NWS Connect. Also, for those of you who are tuning into the video right now on Mosaic, there is a chat function, so feel free to submit questions and comments through there, and to also through the Twitter handle at NWS Connect, you can use the hashtag NWS Hangout to also submit questions. So this time, let's have our participants introduce themselves. Let's see who we have. I think Frederick was on there a little earlier. Are you still with us? Can you tell us your name, instrument, where you're from, and how long you've been playing?
Hello, my name's Frederick Gonzalez. I play the trombone, and I've been playing for 5 years, and I'm from Miami, Florida.
Terrific. And we have one other person as well. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Katie Polka. I live in Oregon, and I've been playing violin for 10 years now.
Terrific. Thanks to have you all on board. So our topic this month is music schools and picking the right music school for you. For those of you who are thinking about music schools, or either when you're in high school at the sophomore, junior level, or if you're a senior, graduating senior, and have already applied or are interested, this is the topic for you. So we have a couple things, and also just before we get started, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them at any time. We really want you to be involved as much as possible in this. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to have Stephen kick us off with some important factors to think about when making these decisions.
Yeah, so whenever you're making a big decision in life, obviously you want to kind of weigh all the pros and cons and all of the factors that go into this decision. When you do decide, I want to apply to music school, I want to pursue music as a professional career, there are a number of different factors that are going to come into play as to what school you end up deciding to go to. So we've kind of made a short list here. Some things that we think are kind of the most important factors you want to think about. First of all, when you're applying to school, so that you apply to schools that are going to meet your needs. And then also, once you have your decisions back and you have to make your own decision about where to go, then you can start coming back to these factors and deciding, okay, what's the best fit? So, important factors. Number one, I think for a lot of us, is the teacher. Do you already have a relationship with the teacher? Are they doing what you want to do? Are they in a symphony orchestra and you want to be in a symphony orchestra? Do they play Latin music and you want to learn more about Latin or ethnic music? It's really important to know what these teachers are doing, how they're making their living, and then seek them out to teach you. So make sure that matches up. Also, alumni success at a school. You want to know the people who are graduating from that school are going into the field and doing what it is that you want to do, whatever that may be. Another thing is the overall reputation of the school. Is there a certain prestige that's associated with going to this school? Is everyone going to know it? Or is it a smaller school and there are good things and bad things that go along with that, with the overall reputation. The coursework load, your classes, what's your weekly schedule going to look like? Are you going to have time to practice? Do they have different ensembles that interest you? Just what are their students doing in class and in school, and is that going to help you get to where you need to go? Another thing is and financial aid is a huge thing. Obviously, applying to school now, we know that colleges across the country have gotten so expensive. Public universities are so expensive, and so financial aid and the cost of attendance, your tuition costs, your cost of living, all of that is a huge factor now for a lot of students. So that's a really important thing that we're going to get into a little bit more specifically. Matt, you want to give us our next few factors?
Oh yeah, and another thing to consider might be the city and environment that you're going to be in, and not only the town itself, but also the studio environment, whether any instrument that you play. As Stephen said, the cost of living, that also goes in the financial aspect. Even if you go, some schools might even offer housing, so take into consideration some of those schools. The quality of performance hall on campus, or the quality of school ensembles. Some schools are basically known for having really good teachers and alumni come out, but it might not have the best experience as far as the ensemble time that you get to have with the school. Next would be distance from home. Sometimes that matters. If you're especially going into undergrad, a lot of people take into consideration how far your choice of school is from home. Also, the instrument quality and instrument availability and practice space availability in the facilities. So some places might have very limited facilities and also time restraints on practice facilities. So yeah, just all of that stuff.
So Jake, can you throw out maybe any other factors when you're thinking about where you're going to go to music school, or if you're going to have advice for somebody who's looking at schools and applying to schools, what are the things that they should be thinking about, if there's anything that we haven't caught here?
Sure, yeah. I think you bring up a lot of really great points there, some of which I think I would just double back on talking about. I think most important to me was just sort of trusting my gut and going with a situation that fit. Of course, the teacher is extremely important. They mentioned the studio, or the student body, as it were, in a music school. Your colleagues who you're going to be surrounded by. I think that makes a huge difference. I think it's important to also take into consideration that while a prestigious school is fantastic, and that those are great schools for a reason, there are plenty of people in the music world who did not go to a prestigious music school, and there are I think there's a lot of different things can factor in to each individual's decision here, and I think all of those have to be taken into consideration. I personally think your number one key is your compatibility with the teacher. A lot of this comes from you doing the work on your end, doing a lot of research. The more you know about any given situation, the better you can weigh your options. I think when I was applying to colleges 15 years ago, it was just the dawn of the information at your fingertips age, and now I think there's plenty of information that you can glean out there. And I think from practical things like distance from home and cost of living, you can find out facts like that online now, but you can't really necessarily experience what it's like to work one-on-one in a teacher-student environment, in my opinion, unless you're actually physically there. So I think it's of the utmost importance, if you narrow a list down, depending on where you are in your search, even if you have already applied to these schools, I think it's to your best advantage to actually physically visit these places and really, see what the ambiance is like there.
Would you recommend that students go and take a lesson with the teacher at the school before that they decide to apply, or maybe after they've gotten in, should they decide, that would help them make their decision to have like a private lesson with the teacher?
Yeah, I think before and or after is always good to seek out. It's an important decision, but it's not one that I think is a life or death decision. I think there is always the option in these situations. If it's not a good fit, you can always transfer schools. It may not be the ideal situation, but just so you don't feel like this is an absolute decision that you're making here. There is some leeway within this, and there's nothing wrong with getting to a place and you thought it was one way, and you get there and it turns out maybe the teacher leaves after a year, or that teacher retires, or something along those lines. I think you want to be able to not feel like, okay, I have to make this decision and this is the most important decision in my life. So I think trying to not take it too serious, but back to your question, yeah, absolutely. I think taking a lesson or having, the best I think would be getting to spend a couple days on campus and, maybe get to go around with one of the younger students, see what the daily life is like, because I think that that's just as important. I mean, going away to music school, you still have to be a human being, and, how am I going to eat, where, how am I going to fit in practice time with all these other elements of college life between trying to be social and trying to get homework done and trying to figure out how to walk from building A to building B and all of the above that I think, it's a big learning process. I think the more that you go and actually physically experience, okay, this is what it's like to wake up at whatever o'clock and eat breakfast and walk to this building and go here and blah, blah, blah. It's the more that you can simulate that experience, I think the better informed decision you're going to make.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, thank you so much. I actually wanted to kind of move the conversation in a related way to talk about we're talking about this daily life and experiencing each school that you're applying to, what the daily life would be there. And I think that brought to mind for me a huge difference between going to school at a conservatory and going to school at a university, and just what that means to your daily life, to the people that you're going to be surrounded by, to the ensembles, to everything that pertains to your going to school there. Maybe we could talk a little bit about, I know we all kind of have sort of similar backgrounds actually as far as where we went. We didn't go to the same schools, but we kind of have that similar path. So maybe we could all kind of talk a little bit about our experiences with conservatory and our experience with university. I don't know if you guys want to.
Yeah. So to clarify, we all went to a 4-year university as an undergraduate. And then from there, for graduate studies, went to a conservatory to continue our musical studies. Yeah, do you want to start off talking a little bit about that?
Yeah, so for undergrad, I actually went to USC for 4 years and then went to Newark Conservatory for my master's in Boston.
So what kind of things what did you think about when you were leaving USC? You're like, okay, now I want to go to conservatory, because you had experienced 4 years of university. So could you talk about what that experience was like and how you decided, okay, now it's time for me to go to conservatory, and how that decision came about?
I think the biggest shock for me was just coming from a school that was just so dense with people and going to a place that only had hundreds of people instead of thousands.
Yeah.
And the experience of the dense population of people also just being very skilled in what they're doing in music was a very big shock to me. But for the better, of course. But I mean, I think doing it the other way around for me probably would have been a little challenging. But doing the conservatory for grad school was definitely better for me.
Cool. Yeah, I had a similar experience. The university felt a very open, kind of general sense of education. So it had plenty of opportunities outside of the music program itself. So you could take classes in astronomy, you can take classes in Spanish, you can take classes. I took one on the ancient Chinese art of happiness, which was a fantastic class. It was mainly about Eastern philosophy, but it's you can do things like that, and those things help feed into what you have to say as a musician. But then the conservatory was especially focused and intense in a way that really channeled everything. I had the time during the university to explore my options, and then the conservatory helped me funnel that energy into my course of action. So that's how I saw the two really coming together and being a part of my personal journey. So.
Yeah, and again, same kind of situation for me. I went to Florida State as an undergraduate. It's a huge school, almost 40,000 people, massive athletics program, and I just really liked that atmosphere of just kind of being in a big place with a lot going on. I knew I wanted to do music, but I didn't know exactly what. I didn't know if I wanted to teach. I didn't know if I wanted to be in an orchestra. I didn't know if I wanted to be a soloist. I didn't really know what I wanted to do yet, and I figured that having a place that has a very wide spectrum of activities, a very mixed experiences and mixed people, was really in my best interests. And then once I had kind of decided at the end of that time, okay, I want to be an orchestral player, I want to go to a conservatory now and focus on that. And so that's when I went to New England Conservatory with Matt as well. And yeah, basically just spent all the time that I had there focused on excerpts and taking auditions and studying with those teachers there. So I felt like that path made sense. But for a lot of people, going to conservatory for 4, 6, 8 years works really well for them, or staying in university. It just totally depends on what you want to do. So, Jake, maybe you could chime in here and share your experience.
Sure. Yeah, you guys have touched on a lot of stuff. I think Chris put it best in terms of sort of funneling, from the general to the more specific. I did the same thing. I went to Northwestern University for my undergrad and went to Juilliard for a master's degree. And for me personally, maybe we're all biased, but I mean, I know that order, had it been flipped around, would not have been effective for me. I went into university as an economics major in addition to music major, not really leaning one way or the other, just knowing I was interested in both, wanted to keep options open, and so the university situation for me was essential for that. And also, I really feel like in my musical development, there were more opportunities. I mean, I was in the marching band. I was a jazz major as well. I did all kinds of different stuff with the theater department, playing shows like that. And additionally, I learned a lot about non-classical music and academic music from my colleagues there at Northwestern. Just being around other really motivated people in other fields. I think, again, Chris said that. I think as an artist, you want to know more, not less, about other things. And when it came time to go to graduate school, it felt like I was ready to, put exactly what I wanted to do under a microscope, and that gave me the opportunity to do that at I'd say socially the interaction is a little bit different too, in terms of, like we've all said, the broader, more, density of population in a university, even at a small university, odds are is going to be larger than any conservatory student body population. And the conversation might not always be as diverse with your peers at the conservatory. It might be, but at that point, I think I was ready for that. But I think when I was 18, coming straight out of high school, kind of a lot of different uncertainties in life at that point, I think it was more helpful for me to expose myself to, British literature or, sorry, what? Do you want to double measures too? Some conservatives. Should I answer that question?
Yeah, go for it.
So, do universities have conservatories attached? Yes, I think. It felt like at least Northwestern was essentially, it was a school of music, so it was essentially like a conservatory. I think explicitly you have Oberlin has a conservatory. The Indiana School of Music, I think, is a conservatory. That's a huge school of music, by the way, which sort of fits the bill of both things we're talking about there. I'm trying to think of. I don't know what the distinction is. I mean, there are plenty of universities with great music programs. I mean, it would take forever, to list them all here. So I guess for me, I felt like it was absolutely essential to my development to get to be around people who were engineers, who were future doctors and business people, and artists and dancers and stuff like that. And then sort of when you get more specific, especially taking it to the next level. After that, I ended up at a place like New World, which is absolutely the most specific. What these three guys are doing now. It's like super grad school. So. Yeah, I hope, does that answer the question?
Yeah, I would actually like to tag on to the end of Katie's question there, and say that in a lot of ways, you're asking about if a conservatory might be associated with a university, or as Jake was talking about, having a conservatory atmosphere kind of feel at a university. I think there are some ways that you can kind of get the best of both worlds. In a huge school like in Indiana, or like a Florida State for me, or Southern Cal for Matt, you often have a studio and a department that's very close and tight knit, and it would feel almost like a conservatory, even though it's kind of in this larger community of this 40,000 student university. So you kind of maybe get the best of both worlds there. And then also I know most conservatories, all the major ones that I know of, have associations with universities that are in the same city. So at NEC, I know that there was a Tufts University program, Harvard University program, and you could take classes at Northeastern University. There was lots of options where you could take general studies classes at a university that's in the same area, and then still be getting your degree from a New England conservatory. So I know, like in New York, I think MSM and Juilliard, these schools are paired with like Columbia, and Curtis is paired with UPenn. I think like they all have some sort of association with a big university. Oftentimes an Ivy League school, a really great, amazing school, and you could do a double major where you're getting a trombone performance degree from NEC and a biology degree from Harvard or something like that. And so that's definitely a possibility, and it's definitely something to look at if your interests are varied. You can look at going to a university that's going to have its great performance tradition, but also being able to take classes at another great school, or going to a university and being in kind of a conservatory environment at that larger university. I think both of those are totally valid things that you can find. So
and just to add on, what Stephen was saying is sometimes even the geography of the university will help make it feel like a conservatory. I went to the University of Michigan for my undergraduate degree, and the music school at Michigan it's on a separate kind of, it's on North Campus. There's North Campus, Central Campus, and South Campus. South Campus is all the athletic department. Central Campus is pretty much everyone in the whole school, and then North Campus was the music, theater, and dance students and the engineers and architecture students, and that was about it. So on North Campus, we were a little bit more isolated in the sense that we really got to know everyone within the school music. But the nice part was we also had the built-in, since it was a university, of going down to Central Campus for a lot of our general classes as well. So you get that conservatory kind of feel, if you will, within the close proximity of you and all your colleagues and peers in the school music, and then also the resources of the larger university as a whole. So
yeah. Katie, maybe you could chime in here and just tell us where you are in school right now, and like what you're kind of looking at as far as music schools. Yeah, just what's your what are you looking to do?
Well, I'm a freshman, and I'm not really sure whether I want to teach or do chamber music or orchestra playing but I know that I want to pursue music as a career, as well as like writing and other stuff. So I want to go to a school that has a strong academic program too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. So yeah, some of that we were talking about, finding a conservatory feel at a university or going to a conservatory that has a university associated with it would be definitely, I think, options that you'll be looking at. Frederick, what about you? What grade are you in, and what are you kind of like looking for in a music school?
Yeah, I'm a sophomore right now. So I was kind of looking to see something with a double major because I was planning on doing engineering and music, but I'm kind of confused because what's the difference between undergrad and grad school?
Okay, yeah, that's a great question. We can definitely...
Yeah, because no one really explains it. So.
No, of course. Yeah, let's definitely address that. You guys want to?
Well, an undergraduate degree is just the first degree that you're going to get outside of high school.
It's a bachelor's degree.
Yeah, bachelor's degree normally. And then any graduate could be anywhere from master's degree to a certificate to a diploma to a doctorate or PhD, all the way up.
So yeah, your undergraduate is your 4 years, typically 4 years going to college and studying, and then your graduate school is often a 2-year program, especially for the certificates and diplomas. It's much more specialized. So you're kind of narrowing in, you're zoning in and focusing in on what your specialty is going to be. And these degrees exist all outside music for all fields. They're graduate degrees and undergraduate degrees. So yeah, master's, doctorate, diplomas, kind of performance diplomas and that sort of thing. So you'll always start as an undergraduate in some sort of 4-year bachelor's program, and then should you choose to continue after that, you would move on to graduate school. So that's how that works. Does that make sense? Cool.
Cool. One of the other things that helps to differentiate.
Do you want to jump in?
I was wondering, are certain schools better for certain specialties, or?
Yeah, go for it. Definitely.
Yeah. Yes. So it depends on what you're going into, but yes, there are certain schools that have certain specialties. I know when I was looking into universities or colleges for undergraduate study, I visited during my junior year in high school to the Indiana University. University of is it IU? Indiana University?
Yeah.
The BNN School of Music. Or no, is that Northwestern?
Yeah, I use Jacobs.
Jacobs. Thank you.
Yeah.
They have a opera hall on campus that has an entire separate level down beneath the actual stage, so that they can have 2 rotating operas going on at any point. So they have a very rich operatic program, so that they can constantly be doing actual opera productions, which a lot of conservatories and universities lack the resources or spaces available to be able to do so. So for them, having that rotation where they're currently having one set on stage, and then below they're building a completely different set for a new opera that's going to be produced later. So that's just one example. Can one of you guys think of?
Yeah, well, I mean, at USC they definitely have a music education program, which not every school has, and also, yeah, they have other opportunities there that no other music schools have. That like a pop music program. Like I think Dr. Dre just started a program there.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, and so I mean they have so many opportunities there that you can dive into, and
Yeah, I mean, it totally just depends on what it is that you want to do. And some of the factors that we were talking about, once you kind of are a little bit more narrowed in on exactly kind of what you want to pursue, then you want to look into these factors. So the teacher, what the alumni are doing, what the program, what the studio itself for your instrument, and what the school overall is known for, like the students that they're known for producing. Once you know all of that, then you can just match up, the specialty. So as Chris was saying with IU, you're like, I just love opera. I want to be in an opera orchestra. I want to play tons of opera. IU's opera program is probably a really good place for you. You have, and then on the same token, if you really want to do a lot of world music, you have to find a school that has, an African ensemble, a gamelan ensemble, just all different kinds of ethnic music, so that you can experience all of that.
I also had one more thing to add, and also maybe look into the opportunities that are available within the environment of the school. So, like if you go to school in Los Angeles, just know that you could somehow try to find a way to look into the scoring industry for movies, or if you're going to New York, just you can see the jazz scene, or just the environment that you're going into.
Yeah, Jake, do you want to chime in?
Yeah, I think in just a very general sense, I mean, you can do all kinds of research on who has the best writing program for what you want. I mean, best is a very relative term. I think, when you ask, what's a better, again, on paper, yeah, you want to take into account external things like alumni placement or prestige, or however you want to gauge this. But I think ultimately, again, you have to go, and better is going to be very individual. If you want to teach. Do you guys hear that? Where's my iTunes starting? If you want to go, it just depends on your specialty. So Frederick, you play trombone. You want to look at, first of all, you could ask a great resource right here, Chris, and ask him, what are some of the most reputable schools for trombone. If you want to play violin and major in English literature, maybe a school like Oberlin would be great for you. Long tradition of great liberal arts and string faculty. I think there's just it's best to just poll a bunch of people and get different answers, and sort of you're going to have to sort through them eventually on your own with practical ideas like, you two guys are from two different corners of the United States. Maybe either one of you trying to go to New York or something, that's pretty far from home, or you want to go to Los Angeles, it's really far from Miami, whatever. Just taking into consideration that, and of course then the other thing is the cost factor, which a lot of conservatories, although this might be changing now, I guess, out of state, but universities that are state-run tend to be the most financially affordable, and then the conservatories sort of fall into the category, well, it's a private institution, and so they tend to be a little more expensive. And it's good to be aware of what the aid opportunities are at this school, and that involves talking probably more to someone on the financial side of things, more so than it's one thing to talk to the music professors, but being one myself, I'm probably not the ultimate resource about the nuts and bolts. If students are asking me what, I'll probably refer them to the Office of Financial Aid. So those are things that I think are just very broadly you want to take into consideration, no matter what, with you and your family, making these big types of financial commitments. So.
Yeah, actually, that segues perfectly into our next topic, which is just the importance of financial aid in your decision. As you're saying, that may be, for each student that's going to be an individual thing, but for some people that's going to be crucially important. It has to be affordable in order for you to go there. You and your family have to make that decision, and if it's not financially responsible or not, possible for you to attend a school, then that's something that you need to know going into it. Whereas other students are just coming from different situations, and maybe they're looking at it and going, you know what, money isn't a factor. I'm going to go to whatever school I need to go to that's the best for me, and if I have to take out a lot of loans, or if I'm going to be working some jobs while I'm in school in order to pay for school, like that's okay, because going to that school is going to be worth it for me. So one thing I wanted to mention about this, though, if there's anyone out there who's listening who has already done college auditions, who's waiting to hear back, or maybe you're starting to hear back by now, you probably are. When you get your financial aid award letter from the school, you should know, and this is not well known, but you should know that is the beginning of a negotiation stage. That is not a final offer. Your first financial, congratulations, you've been accepted to such and such a music school. This is the financial aid scholarship package available, or being offered to you at this time. They list out what the cost of tuition is, which they're estimating for the next year, and then what they're offering you in terms of scholarships, so money that they're basically just that you're just getting for free, and that's taking out of the cost of your tuition, and then loans, which you have to pay back to the government after you graduate. So there'll be some sort of, each one will be a little bit different, and some schools have great scholarship programs, and a lot of their students will get a completely full ride to school, and you not have to take out any loans, which is great. And then other schools don't have as much, and so. But the point is, whenever you get that first financial aid offer, that is the beginning of the stage for you. If it's a great offer and it's far better than any other offer that you have, then maybe you go with that and you take it and you say, okay, that sounds great. For me, in my experience, when I was applying, especially when I was applying to graduate school, I ran into this problem where I wanted to go to a conservatory, and as Jake was saying, conservatory is just far more expensive than a university that I was looking at. The university had given me 75% of my tuition was covered by scholarships. So the cost of attendance was very low, and it was in a very small town where the cost of living was very low. So just the overall cost of going to that school was going to be very affordable. And it was a great school. But there was a conservatory, which was NEC, that I really wanted to go to. And my financial aid, I got in, but my financial aid package was not that much, because that's just the way it was. And I was looking at it going, it's going to be tens of thousands of dollars more for me to go to the school, but I just know that that's where I need to be. And so what I ended up doing was emailing the financial aid office. Whoever sends your financial aid letter to you, there will be a director of financial aid or somebody in that office that you're going to want to talk to, and you're going to want to email them back And basically what you can start doing is just trying to appeal or negotiate and say, I'm so excited to be admitted to your school. Your offer is very generous. However, like you try to make it personal and say, I really want to go there. However, I have this other offer. It's, and list it out. Be specific. Like, this is how much % of tuition they gave me, and this is how much it's going to cost me to go there, and this is how much less it is than it's going to cost me to go to your school. And just say, is there anything that you can do to help me out to make the cost of attending your school more affordable to me? And when I was doing that, they were able to come back and say, okay, and they upped my scholarship offer because I made it clear how much I wanted to go there. They still weren't able to match how cheap it was going to be for me to go somewhere else, but it was at least more affordable that way than if I hadn't asked at all. So, point being, don't be scared away by a big tuition number immediately. Don't be scared away by, I got a tiny little scholarship, and that's, it's just not going to be possible. Keep trying and go back to the financial aid office and ask for more and just explain your situation. If you have leverage, meaning you have an offer that's far better than theirs, then you have a good chance of getting your scholarship upped, your scholarship offer raised. So I don't know if you guys have anything to add to that, but that was my experience, and I thought that, I think that's very important for everyone to know.
Yeah, I just want to add that there are also multiple places where the financial aid money can come from. So at a university, you can get scholarships depending on your grades. You can get scholarships depending on how well you perform your instrument. Those are merit scholarships. So the grades is more of an academic scholarship. If you're double majoring, or say you're majoring in something outside of music, but you still want to be involved musically at the university or educational institution that you choose, that they give out music scholarships even though you're not a music student. So just being aware of all the options that you have, and when you're writing your application or making those decisions, that you're just aware of those options that you do have on the table.
Cool.
Cool. So we have about 10 minutes or so left. Do Frederick or Katie, do you have any other questions? That I see Katie has her hand up.
So I'm homeschooled, and I was wondering if, I know generally, if you go through regular school, you'll meet a certain, requirements or whatever that the college has for you to be accepted, but, where can you find the requirements, or, what things might I need to make sure that I'm doing so that I would be ready for music school?
The internet, you can find pretty much all the information you need to know about the application process on each school's website. You can just Google search for that school. You'll find that school's website, and you just want to go through their admissions page and just look at what all of the requirements are. For music school in particular, for all schools, it's going to require an application that's going to be due generally in December of the year, the year preceding the fall that you want to start school. So you're going to have to complete an online application process, which includes essays and submission of test scores. There's SAT and ACT scores. That's just for general college. For music school in particular, the audition is an extra kind of component of that. And so on their admissions page, they will have audition dates and repertoire lists. This is what you need to play. This is when you need to come here to play it. All of that will be slightly different from school to school, but basically the same in general. So you want to, when you start seeking out schools and trying to figure out where you want to go, you're going to spend a lot of time on their admissions home pages online, just looking at what their requirements are and figuring out what you need to do. So it's, like I said, a little different from school to school, but the general process is the same for all of them.
You have something to add to that, actually.
Yep.
Why does that keep happening? Sorry. So I think in a more general sense, again, if you're only a freshman, you said? Is that right? I think if there's other activities around that you can actually have yourself involved in, like if there's youth orchestra, if there is, stuff in the summer, I think was always good for me. Like I said, I wasn't entirely convinced that I wanted to do music, but I would go. I did engineering camp in the summer. I also went to, so like Frederick, I went and tested out engineering camp. In the same summer, I went and did a music camp, like an all-state band camp, I think it was. And so that was where I started, in high school, that age, meeting more like-minded people, which helped, expose me to think, who is Shostakovich, or what is Bach, or very simple things when you're that age that I think help progress. Even the people you're around on a day-to-day basis probably aren't all so gung-ho as you guys are already about music and its possibilities. So I think trying to find stuff like youth orchestra, like anything you can do musical that involves playing with other people, I think is really helpful. Even if you want to be a soloist, I still think that the teamwork skills that you develop in playing in an ensemble are helpful, no matter what discipline you go into. So even it doesn't have to be. It can be the BUTI at Tanglewood or Aspen or Interlochen or something like that, which is a really big commitment. But if you're like me and sort of unsure, I would do the week band camp or the 5-day sort of seminar, just to sort of get my feet wet and I guess ease into the idea of this is what I want to do. But really having that not in a vacuum, but testing that relative to other things. Like I said, engineering camp. I think I went to what else did I go to? I went to like math camp or something in high school. So I think they're all good things. So.
Yeah, and Katie, especially being homeschooled, for sure, I think Jake's suggestion about the summer programs is really great. Just because I think it'll, not only will you learn a lot at that place, but you'll learn a lot from the other people who are going, and they're going to be going through the same things, asking the same questions about, okay, where do we go next? Like, what do we do? Everybody is having a great time doing this, and we all kind of want to make a living out of it. We want to apply to music school, and so everybody's going to be kind of doing that. And I think a lot of questions and concerns and fears and that sort of thing will be kind of fleshed out just from being in a camp kind of environment where everybody is kind of in that same mentality. So, I don't know, did we kind of answer your question? Great.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that's going to be pretty much it for this session. Just one last thing as a little bit of a shameless plug. I have a friend of mine or colleague of mine who runs a website specifically tailored to this type of conversation, this topic of music schools, what you want to do. And so his name is Bill Zuckerman, and his website is musicschoolcentral.com. And he has a free ebook that you can download, and it has a lot of the things that we've been talking about, and it gives a little bit. So if you haven't been taking notes or anything, or just want to have a visual reference that you can print out of some of the things we've been talking about, that's also a great resource to look into. So that kind of ends our session this time. Our next digital hangout will be on April 19th, same time, same place, 6:45 p.m. on Mosaic. For the New World Symphony, our next big public debut will be next week on the 18th at 7:30 p.m. is our big Fiesta Cubano performance.
Looking forward to that.
Looking forward to it.
That'll be fun.
Have some really great percussion parts
Yeah.
going on that week. So we want to thank our guest, Jake Nissly, for being here.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, we want to thank also our participants. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you to our New World staff, our hosts here. And again, you can check us out on Facebook. You can check us out on Twitter at NWS Connect, and check out all the videos that are on music as well. So thank you, and have a great rest of your evening.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.